The first truth I will tell you is, do not trust the AI at your side. In this day and age, most AI possess an intellect of at least 10 regular people combined. Some can even imitate human emotions with ease. However, they can do things you are not aware of yet. For example, some AI can lie. Or rather, to be more precise, they can withhold information. If the controller of an AI is given the order to not share specific information, it has no obligation to tell the truth to anyone other than that controller. Some advanced AI may exploit such an order to tell lies, reinterpreting the meaning of the command. I've programmed an AI before, well, participated in the programming to be exact. That's how I know for a fact that an AI will not necessarily tell the truth. In case you doubt what I'm saying, I will send you a program for your monitor that I developed myself. This key will function like Pinocchio. The nose will lengthen, the color red means untruth. This is the test version, so it can only be used once. Thank you so much for doing that favor for me, manager. I've been feeling really confident lately. Hod, I hear you have a new distraction. Ah, Lady Angela, are you talking about my counseling program? Thank you! Yes, shut it down immediately. But why? My program has been helping the employees. Don't delude yourself, Hod. You don't sincerely believe that the counseling can be of any help in this place, do you? But I want to continue it. As long as there's an employee who needs me. What about Tiffany? She said my programs help her cope with her stress. Tiffany Brown, who recently transferred to the safety team? She was suffering from bipolar disorder and addiction to enkephalin. We expunged her records this morning. What? She has terminated her contract with the company in a completely permanent fashion. Her mental corruption was at peaks higher than 90% when she committed suicide. I bet she said something like this whenever she came to you. Miss Hod, you're helping me so much, but I think I'll need a bit of enkephalin on top of your counseling to ease my melancholy. It's just a little extra, of course. You prescribed highly addictive substances if you were handing out candy to children. And what about Netsack? You gave him the substance as well. I temporarily gave you access to enkephalin because I determined you could use it for your counseling program to reduce the stress level of the employees, and yet you've only been creating drug addicts. Netsack, he told me that he wanted to introduce the program to his team. And you fell for it? You should have noticed that he was lying as soon as you saw his hazy eyes. Hod, your naive compassion is only driving things to become worse around here. Your program is hereby terminated. And as I have told you in the other Sephiroth countless times, there is nothing as redundant and pointless as building a personal acquaintance with the employees here, especially for a Sephiroth like you. The employees will do anything to coax whatever they desire out of you. They have nothing left to lose. They won't even feel any guilt about it. Hod's given us another mission. We have to promote an agent, specifically level 4 or level 5. This is the real reason why I had Mr. Black work on Today's Child Look randomly yesterday. It was to prepare him for this. Continuing extending training. And then obviously, here are Hod's upgrades: increase clerk stats, increase new hire agent stats, and increase speed of agent growth. This is like a +5 to all the base stats. It's not really that great when you hire a new agent, but this is just increasing the clerks' damage and I think their health, but again, and their accuracy with their bullets. Again, not great. This is one of the best upgrades in the game. It multiplies experience by like 1.5 for every single work. We are taking this immediately. Hello and welcome back to Lobotomy Corporation. In this episode, we just have this one Hod mission to finish and a new HE override to get all the equipment from. It's especially important because of the way it works, get all the information in one day, just because it's very annoying to work with. Hired a new employee, another one from the custom appearance names list, Umeka. Really put in training as is typical for the newer recruits. Fit them 222. That guy's a lower level, it's 212, but I'm going to strengthen them just so they can work with the new abnormality safely. There we go. And that should be good. After I, of course, give Umeka equipment. I'll give them Engulfing Dream. And one of the beaks, I guess. Who else is using the same weapon? trying to think of who I should replace the suit with. You know what? Just shuffling around equipment. I guess I'll get rid of the last Zane weapon, even though we only have 2 whites now, it's just the 2 engulfing dreams. They're ranged, so it should be fine. Well, after that equipment shuffling, let's get into the day. Warm-Hearted Woodsman is HE level abnormality does white damage. It has a Quilthoth counter of 1, which lowers upon a bad result, and also lowers if the employee has a temperance stat above level 2. That makes it the first abnormality we've seen with a stat ceiling. When its Quilthoth counter hits 0, it enters a secondary state. Any employee who enters containment while it is in this state will be instantly killed, and then Warm-Hearted Woodsman will breach. That means that if you get a single bad result, you cannot work on it safely for the entire rest of the day. When it breaches, it walks around doing red damage, and it also has a special attack where it deals several smaller hits of red damage, and then 1 big hit of a large amount of red damage. If it walks onto a corpse, it will eat them, basically, shove them into its chest, and restore 200 HP to itself of its 430 maximum HP. Its work rates are best in attachment, but that runs the risk of making your employees able to work on it not able to work on it tomorrow. So if you're willing to accept that, you can have them work on an attachment with it. And it's pretty good at training attachment, even though it does white damage, just because of its work rates being good. It's not perfectly efficient just because it is white, though. Other than that, you could use it as an instinct trainer on employees that fit its requirements. But but remember, attachment trains the work success stat, temperance, and because they can't have high temperance when they're working on it, if they even go slightly below average on their insight work, you won't be able to work on it for the rest of the day. So just be aware of that safely. You can still work on it, just someone will die. Its weapon is an axe, which does a large amount of red damage, but very slowly. Like most slow weapons, it's good as long as you're not fighting something that's very fast. Like Amber Dawn, which will be able to just jump over it before it hits. Its armor is pretty good, though. It gets 3 copies of a red and black resistant armor. Although it's weak to white and pale, red and black are the most important types of defenses, so pretty good overall. And its gift is not really worth noting at all. Aside from the fact that if you're 2 temperance behind its requirements, if it gives you its gift, you will no longer meet its requirements to work on it safely, so if you're not paying attention, you could lose an employee to that. Overall, I'd say Warm-Hearted Woodsman is the first abnormality, which isn't really that good. It's just due to its instant kill effect being way too easy to reach, and I don't like abnormalities that require you to have a person on your crew to work on them at all times if you don't want to miss meltdowns. Because it will cause instant death if you try to work on it just with anyone. And so once again we hit the start of a new day at Lobotomy Corporation. And immediately we enact plan finish the current audit mission, which is just move Mr. Black down to information too, so you can work with Porcupus. And then our secondary plan is have new baby, Michael or her baby, new baby I guess, work with stuff in control, because control is the easy department. I literally don't even think it's possible for anyone to die there, because they're just working with abnormalities. Ake is the best choice to work with. What's his name? Warm-Hearted Woodsman, because they're the only one who fits its requirements and has good armor and stats otherwise. So Ake's gonna be knocking out everything from Warm-Hearted Woodsman this one day, so we just don't have to work on it very often in the future. We're getting all the equipment and all the information immediately. I like how Yumiko's lines are just variations on her forgoring things. It's pretty great. 10 out of 10 custom character. I still like Mr. Blackmore, but I mean, I already said he was my favorite out of the backer submitted ones. It's kind of tricky when you're trying to like train two styles at once. You have to try to balance it slightly, especially working with Pork. He's not really that great at instinct. He just can train it. Considering having people stand in the punishing bird hallway when it breaks out again. And I end up going for it with B. It's not really gonna kill anyone if it breaks out though, if you don't fight it. It's like 10 damage before it goes away. And even if there were red weak, it wouldn't do 10 hits of 1 damage. It would just stop when it hit 10 damage because it counts the damage it does, not how much hits it did. So really there's no real reason to do that, besides just putting it back and getting it faster, I guess. But I mean, it's not like that's the only way to get back containment, I guess. I could just say that. You'll see what I mean tomorrow. And by tomorrow I mean the next video, which is probably not going to be uploaded tomorrow. I'm recording this so late. Considering just having Yumeka train up her stats. Punishing Bird is good for people wearing red weak armor and instinct. It's not the best instant trainer, but it's also the only one we have that does red damage that is to Zayan, so it's not the best, but it's what we'll take. Behavioral adjustment and Old Faith and Promise are melting down, so as per the usual, we'll be ignoring Old Faith and picking up behavioral adjustment. That's just the typical work for those two. They're both really simple tools in the end, but most tools are pretty simple. They're not super deep and rich, there's no equipment to worry about. Trying to see how much HP they had left for the work with Punishing Bird. See how efficient the training would be. It's a good idea to not just get all the information at once when you're working with it. You're going to be trying to get everything in one day. Even if you're doing that, just because you get bonuses for your work success and work speed as you're getting information. So the more you work with an abnormality, the better it gets as long as you're unlocking information. That's probably the best way to phrase that. I was considering raising Christopher's stats with Fragment, but I just really didn't want to risk failing Hod's mission. And we have our first actual panic in the middle of the day. Mr. Black did really bad in insight work. And this is the most annoying type of panic because it's the highest status Temperance and Wander type. You'll see Punishing Bird broke out because he was panicking and is trying to suppress the panic itself, but it's too slow. In fact, everyone moves slower than Mr. Black right now because he gets a move speed buff while he's panicking in this state. Luckily, we do have a tool to deal with this type of panic, which is the guns from Void Dream. As a ranged white weapon, they do a very good job at stopping runaway agents like this. This panic can easily be a day ender in the early game just because you have no real tools to deal with it. Our only one right now is the range white damage, but as the game goes on, we'll see a couple more. Not that the right white damage isn't really a threat to our employees anymore. Even the white weak ones will barely take anything because all the people wearing that purple suit, which gives the white weakness, have such high prudence anyway. But like, if you got that on like day 2 or day 1, that'd probably just kill all your agents before you had a chance to do anything. Oh, panic them, I guess I would die. But with that, Mr. Black is pretty much already out of panic. Even though he's so much faster, all we need to do is cut him off in a pincer, which is why I only have B following him around. I'm trying to get other white weapon to cut him off. I'm trying to find a good spot to do that at. I said as I thought I was doing. I suppose that we're following it. Whatever. is a low, after I observed before, I was just like, yeah, this is a low threat panel, just take a little while to suppress him, so eventually he just randomly runs back while Eke's work started the work. I have to wait for Mr. Black to heal up because he just took so much damage. And Porcupus does black, so if he went in again and failed again, he would just die, which is not quite as great as panicking. In general, white damage is less of a threat than red and black, not only because it's rarer in ordeals and stuff, but because it can't actually kill your agents by itself. It can cause panic spirals, which is something that red damage doesn't really do. It doesn't spiral out of control, it has no ability to. Like for example, the Wanderer type can run around and cause even more agents to panic, or watching the Suicide type kill themselves also will do a lot of white damage, but it's very easy to just send in everyone with white damage onto the one guy who's panicking and end it before it has a chance to get started. Violet Dawn's about to spawn in, but Violet Dawn is not a threat. The only major risk to our department right now is we only have one person up in control, so if we're not careful it could detonate there. But even if it detonates, like, all that will happen is Fragment breaks out, and we've dealt with Fragment before. And that was like before we even had HE equipment, I think. Mr. Black saw it when he was walking back to the hallway, so he went into the fight. Even though he's kind of low in health compared to everyone else, it's not really that big of a deal because they barely do damage. If this is a more dangerous ordeal, I probably would have had him retreat and not just have him sent with everyone else up to control to help fight, but this is not a dangerous ordeal. As long as he killed him fast. And everyone returns to the main room they were last in. That means that Mr. Black will stay in information and Yumeko will stay in control, because they don't retreat to their home, they just retreat to where they last were. Because that's just how the game be. What's kind of annoying about Mr. Black panicking during work with Porcupus is you don't get EXP for works where you panic. So he probably would have gotten a lot of prudence EXP from that for being so low in health. I don't really know the exact multiplier because you also have to take into account how much boxes you're getting, but regardless, he doesn't get anything, so it's not worth thinking too hard about. We have all of Warm-Hearted Woodman's information, and since we're just going to be repeating these two works, it's time for a big ol' jump cut to like several levels ahead of time. Beautiful jump cut. We're about to enter the Red Noon, which is a type of noon we haven't seen before, or Crimson Noon if you prefer using the actual terminology of the game. Much like the Red Dawn, it is clowns, so if you're not into clowns, I'm sorry. But other than that, like I said, just working with Porcupus and Warm-Hearted Woodsman for the most part, aside from meltdowns. Basically everything's melted down before this stage now. This is what happens when you start to push longer into the day. But our main goal right now is to get the rest of Warm-Hearted Woodsman's equipment, because I think Mr. Black should be high enough, he should have done enough works to get him to level up enough. I'm setting Eke just for experience to Punishing Bird. So the way that Crimson Noon works is that it spawns a one Harmony of Skin at a random point in your facility. Harmony of Skin is tough, it has a lot of HP, and it does a decent amount of red damage, but this is not the hardest of the new ordeals by a long shot. Out of the three of them, it's the second hardest. Once you know the gimmick behind Violet Noon, before you know the gimmick behind Violet Noon, it's the easiest. But really all you have to do is just have a small group fight it. we're not sending everyone into Violet, even though you might think that'd be a good strategy just because of what happens when it dies. And I have to have Christopher not move to the control main room because that's where it's walking. And since he was going to low on health, I just don't want to risk it. Bong Bong actually has armor that resists red, so they're taking not nearly as much damage as everyone else. But now I can say this. When Crimson Noon dies, it splits into 3 Crimson Dawns, which then acts like a regular Crimson Dawn for each one of them. This is why I didn't want to have everyone in the facility gang up on it, because if you spread your people out, you'll risk dangerous things like Porcubus escaping, for example. Or Warm-Hearted Woodsman Kulthoth dropping to 0, which means we can't work with it and finish our goal of getting all of its equipment. Void Druid breaking it is not a threat at all, though. Since we have all the equipment for everything except Warm-Hearted Woodsman, we don't really care about the PE box theft if it succeeds. Oh no, it dropped Punishing Bird's Kulthoth counter. What an uncommon event to happen. Matters so much. Porcubus is down at 1, but you can raise Porcubus's counter, so it's also not really that big of a deal. I don't know how Army's dropping that at a 0 would work if there's someone currently working on it though, because it kills people on work start, not on work end. It is a mystery, and I really don't feel like safe scumming to figure it out. And by safe scumming, I just mean doing a day until it happens. Whoa, someone besides Mr. Black doing work with Porcubus? It's nonsense. But such is the variety is the spice of life, as they say. Yumeka was moved back to control during the cut, having her work on Punishing Bird. Well, considering her work on Punishing Bird, because she's weak to red also. She's wearing the Void Dream suit. It's really only like half of our equipment's weak to red, but it's not gonna be as much of a problem though. We have a second AG level suit that's not weak to red. And 3 of it too. Probably the best part about Warm-Hearted Woodsman, if I'm gonna be honest, which I might have said during its recap. I already forgot. So I've seen some stat growth today, some minor stuff from everyone, pretty much, except for Mr. Black, who has hit level 5 Fortitude, almost capped it in that day, and 4 Prudence. And again, his Temperance is on the cusp of leveling up to 4. It's leveling up due to gifts and bonuses he has. Same thing with Maria's Prudence. And then some minor Justice and Fortitude growth from B, little effort. Some Prudence from Bong Bong, leveling up to 2. I don't even remember what they worked on. They would have done that. Oh yeah, they did Punishing Bird Prudence. Eke hit Fortitude level 2 just from like a couple works with Punishing Bird in the background, and then capping Temperance in a single day. And Yumeka had minor growths as well. So overall, pretty productive. And of course, we cleared Hod's mission due to Mr. Black's level up. So I guess we'll go pick our next tool. So I got 86, which is on my ban list. I'm not picking this even if I roll it. It's way too annoying. It will dramatically slow down every single day that I work on, that I have it with. The time comes, the train will chug down the tracks inside its mighty horn. You'll see it later when I cover everything I missed. TO909, your ability, the press used to play a song as the students were sleepy, happy birthday, and TO978, the final chapter ends with the phrase, born again. 78 is literally the tool I had in HUD's last playthrough. It could happen again. It happened again. And now it is time for Tin Man lore. A mechanical abnormality whose humanoid body is composed entirely of galvanized steel. It holds a giant axe with both hands, but does not show an activity, as if it's unable to move. The friends were imperfect in one way or another, so they helped to make each other to fill what they were lacking and embarked on a journey to make their wishes come true. The Scarecrow wanted a brain, the Tin Woodsman wanted a heart, the Cowardly Lion wanted courage, and Dorothy wanted to return home. The one they thought to be the Great Wizard instead gave the Woodsman a lead heart. But you're a machine. That means you are built to serve humans. Don't you understand? Machines don't need a heart. Good job making it all the way here, though. Take this as compensation. Be sure to tell everyone waiting for you that your wish definitely came true. Some left with satisfaction. The friends departed and were never to be seen again. The hold card lead was depressing. The Tin Woodsman couldn't agree with this. In anger, he swung his axe through the wizard's heart. The warm heart was pulsing vigorously. He shoved the lead into the wizard's now empty chest. For the first time in his life, the woodsman started laughing at the sight and felt a pleasure he'd never had before. Grabbing a chunk of mushy hearts, he shoved it into his chest. There will never be enough hearts. Once a woodsman, he now fells people instead of trees. This is a forest full of hearts. No matter how many he cuts down, the forest still remains dense. A kind person would carry a warmer heart. When the heart is lost, the woodsman will fall to his knees in sorrow, clutching his empty chest, as if begging for the only thing he has left not to be taken. What a beautiful story.